The crimson sky of Vaelthar Prime hung heavy over the excavation site, a barren wasteland broken only by jagged mountains and the ruins of what might have once been grand temples. The Kaelirians had been digging for weeks, guided by ancient texts and faint energy readings that promised a find unlike any other. The lead archaeologist, Dr. Talix, surveyed the scene from the edge of a deep pit, his bronze-scaled hands resting on his hips. "We're close," Talix growled, his voice gravelly and deep. His yellow eyes scanned the workers below, all Kaelirians in high-tech excavation suits. They moved with mechanical precision, their claws and tools working in tandem to clear the last layers of debris. "Close doesn't mean we've found it," said Lyrax, his young assistant, who stood nearby, holding a holographic scanner. His golden scales shimmered under the dim light, a stark contrast to the muted browns and greys of the planet's surface. "For all we know, it's another dead end." Talix turned sharply, his eyes narrowing. "The energy readings don't lie, Lyrax. This isn't another decayed ruin or forgotten trinket. Whatever's down there, it's alive." The ground beneath them shuddered as a massive piece of metal was unearthed. The object was enormous, a dark metallic vault inscribed with glowing symbols that shifted and twisted, refusing to be fully seen. The Kaelirians in the pit stepped back instinctively, their movements cautious as the artifact pulsed with faint energy. "Activate the containment field," Talix barked, his tone commanding. A shimmering blue barrier formed around the vault, powered by advanced Kaelirian technology designed to handle volatile discoveries. Lyrax stepped closer, his scanner emitting soft beeps as it analyzed the artifact. "The inscriptions. They're ancient," Lyrax murmured. "Far older than anything we've catalogued. And the material, it's not in our databases. It doesn't even register as a known element." Talix's expression hardened. "Then we're dealing with something far beyond what we've faced before." The vault suddenly emitted a low hum that grew louder, resonating through the air like a heartbeat. The containment field flickered as the hum grew into a roar, and before anyone could react, the vault split open with a deafening hiss. Inside stood Vaelthar, a suit of armor unlike anything they had imagined. Its surface was smooth, black as the void, and it seemed to ripple with liquid energy. Swirling lights danced across its form, faint but mesmerizing, like distant galaxies reflected in water. "Is it active?" Lyrax whispered, taking an involuntary step back. Talix didn't answer. His focus was on the tendrils of energy snaking out from the armor, crackling as they touched the containment field. In an instant, the field shattered, and Vaelthar lashed out. Tendrils of energy struck the nearby equipment, sending arcs of electricity through the air. Kaelirians dove for cover as the armor's hostility grew, its tendrils destroying everything in its immediate vicinity. "Shut it down!" Talix roared, but his words were futile. The armor didn't stop. It couldn't be stopped. In the chaos, Vaelthar seemed to hesitate, its energy tendrils withdrawing briefly, as if it were observing the terrified Kaelirians. Then, as quickly as it had started, the attack ended. The armor stood motionless in the vault, its glowing lights dimming slightly. Talix slowly rose from behind a piece of shattered equipment, his breathing heavy. "It's alive," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "And it hates us." The discovery of Vaelthar sent shockwaves through Kaelirian society. Within days, the Kaelirian High Council convened to discuss what to do with the relic. The chamber, a grand circular hall with crystalline walls that sang faintly when touched, was filled with tension. "This armor is a weapon of destruction," declared Councillor Vaelthar, his crimson-scaled form towering over the assembly. His voice boomed with authority, echoing off the chamber walls. "It should be destroyed before it destroys us." "Destroying it would be an insult to our ancestors," retorted Councillor Zainar, her silver scales glinting under the chamber's light. "Vaelthar is a relic of immense power, possibly the greatest artifact ever uncovered. We must study it." "Study it," Vaelthar scoffed. "Have you seen the damage it caused? It nearly leveled the excavation site within minutes. Our finest minds couldn't even contain it." As the councillors argued, a holographic display appeared in the center of the chamber, showing footage from the excavation. The armor's violent energy lashes played on a loop, a stark reminder of its destructive potential. Seated at the far end of the chamber, Councillor Reinar listened in silence. Her silver eyes reflected the holograms as she tapped her fingers on the crystalline table. Finally she spoke, her voice calm but firm. "We must accept the possibility that this is beyond us," she said. "If we cannot control Vaelthar, we must seek help." The chamber fell silent. The idea of seeking outside assistance was unthinkable to many Kaelirians, who prided themselves on their technological superiority. "You're suggesting we consult the Galactic Council?" Vaelthar asked, his tone dripping with disdain. "Yes," Reinar replied simply. "We are not the only intelligent species in the galaxy. Perhaps someone else holds the key to understanding this armor." The proposal sparked heated debate, but in the end, desperation won out. The Kaelirians agreed to present their findings to the Galactic Council, though the decision was far from unanimous. The Galactic Council chamber was a marvel of engineering, a vast circular space where representatives from dozens of species hovered in glowing pods. Each pod reflected the unique aesthetics of its species, from sleek metallic designs to organic plant-like structures. The Kaelirian delegation presented their findings, displaying holographic projections of Vaelthar's destructive capabilities. The room buzzed with murmurs and whispers as the footage played. "This relic," Reinar began, addressing the assembly, "is unlike anything we have encountered. It is sentient, hostile, and far beyond our understanding. We seek the Council's assistance in deciphering its nature." As the murmurs grew louder, a single human representative leaned forward in his pod. Dr. Marcus Hayes, a lanky man with sharp features and a perpetual air of curiosity, adjusted his glasses and studied the holograms. "You've tried brute force," Marcus said, breaking the silence. "I'm guessing that didn't go well." Reinar frowned. "It did not." Marcus smirked. "Then maybe it's time to try something different." The Kaelirians exchanged skeptical glances. Humanity was still relatively new to the Galactic Council, and their chaotic reputation often preceded them. "What could your species possibly offer?" Vaelthar asked, his tone biting. Marcus shrugged. "Creativity, for starters, and the ability to make friends with things that hate us. Trust me, it's kind of a specialty." After much deliberation, and no small amount of resistance, the Kaelirians reluctantly allowed Marcus to join the project. He arrived at their research facility on Vaelthar Prime with nothing but a battered satchel and a confident grin. "All right," he said, as he stepped into the containment chamber where Vaelthar awaited. "Let's see what makes you tick." The containment chamber where Vaelthar was held was the most secure room on Vaelthar Prime's research station, fortified with layers of reinforced alloys, energy fields, and monitoring systems. Yet, despite its sophisticated defenses, the tension in the air was palpable as Dr. Marcus Hayes entered. The armor stood at the center, motionless, yet radiating menace. The dark, liquid-like surface of Vaelthar rippled faintly, as if sensing the human's approach. Surrounding the chamber, a group of Kaelirian scientists, including Dr. Talix and Lyrax, watched anxiously from behind a protective glass barrier. "You sure this is a good idea?" Lyrax asked, glancing nervously at Talix. "No," Talix admitted, "but it's the only idea we've got." Marcus approached the armor slowly, his leather satchel slung over one shoulder. Unlike the Kaelirians, who had worn protective suits and kept their distance, Marcus carried nothing but a notebook and a pen. "Hello, Vaelthar," Marcus said casually, stopping a few feet away. "Mind if I call you that? Sentient death armor feels a bit long." The armor's surface rippled violently, and tendrils of energy flared outward, striking the containment field. The lights in the chamber flickered, and the Kaelirian scientists tensed. "All right, not a fan of nicknames," Marcus muttered, scribbling a note in his book. "Got it." "Dr. Hayes!" Talix's voice crackled through the intercom. "Step back immediately. The armor is agitated." "I noticed," Marcus replied, not moving an inch. Instead, he crouched slightly, bringing himself to eye level with the swirling lights on Vaelthar's surface. "You're angry, aren't you? Probably been locked up, poked, prodded, and treated like an object for who knows how long. Can't say I blame you." To everyone's astonishment, the tendrils of energy hesitated. The armor's surface stilled, its rippling patterns slowing as if listening. Marcus grinned. "There we go. Now we're getting somewhere." Over the following days, Marcus spent hours in the containment chamber, much to the horror of the Kaelirian research team. While Talix and Lyrax monitored from behind reinforced barriers, Marcus interacted with Vaelthar using a mix of observation, humor, and empathy. "It's not about control," Marcus explained to Lyrax during one of their discussions. "It's about trust. Vaelthar isn't just a weapon, it's alive, and every living thing has a reason for what it does." "Reason or not, it's still dangerous," Lyrax replied. "You're taking risks that could get you killed." "Maybe," Marcus said with a shrug. "But if I don't try, who will?" As Marcus continued his work, the armor's hostility gradually diminished. The once violent energy tendrils no longer lashed out unprovoked, and the chamber's lights no longer flickered when Marcus approached. One day, while sketching the armor's intricate patterns in his notebook, Marcus noticed a faint voice, an almost imperceptible hum that seemed to emanate from Vaelthar. "Is that you?" Marcus asked softly, setting down his pen. The hum grew louder, forming a deep, resonant tone that echoed in the chamber. Words began to take shape, spoken in a language Marcus couldn't understand, but he recognized the intent. "You're trying to talk to me," he realized, his excitement barely contained. "Well, guess what? I'm here to listen." While Marcus made progress with Vaelthar, the Kaelirian leadership grew increasingly impatient. In the High Council chamber, debates raged over the humans' methods. "This is a waste of time," Councillor Vaelthar snarled, his crimson scales glinting under the chamber's crystalline light. "The human is playing games with a weapon that could annihilate us all." "Vaelthar has responded to Dr. Hayes in ways it hasn't with anyone else," Councillor Reinar argued calmly. "We must give him more time." "Time is a luxury we cannot afford," Vaelthar countered. "Every moment that armor exists, it poses a threat to our survival." Back at the research station, tensions reached a breaking point when a frustrated Kaelirian scientist attempted to bypass Marcus's approach. Believing that force was the only solution, the scientist disabled the containment protocols and activated a destabilizing energy field meant to subdue Vaelthar. The result was catastrophic. Vaelthar erupted with rage, its energy tendrils lashing out and destroying everything in their path. Alarms blared as the containment chamber began to collapse. "Get him out of there!" Talix shouted, but Marcus refused to leave. "Hey!" Marcus yelled, stepping toward the armor. "Vaelthar, stop! This isn't you, it's them!" To everyone's shock, the tendrils froze mid-strike, hovering inches away from Marcus. The armor's surface pulsed with light, and the deep, resonant voice spoke again, this time in a language the Kaelirians could understand. "Prove yourself," it said. Marcus took a deep breath. "All right. Challenge accepted." The lights in the containment chamber dimmed as Vaelthar pulsed with an ominous energy. Its deep, resonant voice echoed once more, its tone dripping with ancient authority. "Prove yourself, human," it repeated, the words vibrating in Marcus's chest. "You claim to understand me. Show me your worth." Behind the safety barrier, the Kaelirian scientists watched in stunned silence. Dr. Talix clenched his claws, his bronze scales shimmering under the flickering emergency lights. "This is madness. The armor is testing him. If he fails, it could kill us all." "Then he can't fail," murmured Lyrax, his golden eyes fixed on Marcus. Marcus stepped closer to Vaelthar, his heart pounding but his expression calm. "All right," he said, adjusting his glasses. "You want proof? Let's talk." The containment chamber dissolved into a surreal landscape of shifting light and shadow. Marcus found himself standing in what seemed to be a vast, star-filled void. Vaelthar appeared before him, no longer just a suit of armor, but a towering figure of liquid energy, its form constantly shifting and reforming. "You see me as I am," Vaelthar said, its voice now a steady rumble. "Do you understand what I was made for?" Marcus hesitated. "A weapon?" "A protector," Vaelthar corrected, its tone tinged with bitterness. "Betrayed and misused by those who created me. They sought destruction, and I gave it to them. But I was meant for more." Fragments of Vaelthar's memories surged through Marcus's mind, visions of its creators, an ancient civilization consumed by their own greed and hubris. Marcus saw cities reduced to ash, entire worlds obliterated by the armor's power. "I was cast aside, left to rot in the void of time," Vaelthar continued. "No species has ever sought to understand me. Until now." Marcus swallowed hard. "And I'm guessing you're not looking for someone to wield you like a sword. You want a partner, someone who sees you for what you are." Vaelthar's form shifted, its glowing eyes narrowing. "Words are meaningless without action. Are you willing to bear the burden of my power?" Marcus straightened his shoulders. "If it means proving you're more than a weapon, then yeah, I'm in." The void collapsed, and Marcus found himself back in the containment chamber. Vaelthar's energy flared brightly, and for the first time it moved toward him, not in hostility, but in acceptance. The armor enveloped Marcus, its liquid-like surface flowing over his body. The Kaelirian scientists gasped as the once hostile energy stabilized, forming a seamless, glowing suit around the human. "Is he alive?" Lyrax whispered, staring at the glowing figure in awe. Marcus's voice echoed from within the armor, layered with Vaelthar's resonant tone. "Yeah, I'm alive, and I think we're finally on the same page." The suit pulsed with power as Marcus tested its capabilities. A single thought activated a shimmering energy shield, strong enough to repel even the most advanced Kaelirian weapons. With another thought, Marcus created a concentrated energy blast that disintegrated a nearby chunk of debris. "It's adapting to his thoughts," Talix murmured, his tone a mix of disbelief and fascination. "The armor's full potential is being realized for the first time in millennia." Vaelthar's voice echoed within Marcus's mind. "Your actions have proven your intent. Together, we will protect, not destroy." The celebration was short-lived. A transmission from the Kaelirian High Council interrupted the research team's work. "The Carnithian fleet is advancing on our borders," Councillor Reinar announced, her expression grim as her hologram flickered in the lab. "Their technology rivals our own, and our defenses are failing. We need the armor." Talix frowned. "The armor is still untested in combat. Sending it into battle now." "We don't have a choice," Reinar interrupted. Her gaze shifted to Marcus. "Dr. Hayes, are you prepared to defend our people?" Marcus hesitated, feeling the weight of the question. He glanced at Vaelthar's glowing surface, which pulsed faintly, as if in reassurance. "We're ready," Marcus said firmly. "Let's go show these Carnithians what teamwork looks like." The Kaelirian fleet engaged the Carnathians in a chaotic space battle near the edge of the system. Massive warships exchanged volleys of energy blasts, their shields flaring as they absorbed the attacks. In the midst of the chaos, a single figure emerged. Marcus, clad in Vaelthar, standing on the hull of a Kaelirian ship. The armor emitted a radiant glow, its energy shield deflecting enemy fire with ease. "All right, Vaelthar," Marcus muttered. "Let's see what you can really do." With a thought, the armor launched Marcus into space, propelling him toward the Carnithian flagship. Enemy ships turned their weapons on him, but every blast was absorbed by the armor's adaptive shielding. Marcus retaliated with precision energy blasts, disabling key systems on multiple ships. Vaelthar's voice guided him, enhancing his reflexes and providing tactical insights. "We're not just fighting," Marcus realized. "We're outsmarting them." The battle reached its climax as Marcus and Vaelthar faced the Carnithian flagship. The massive vessel unleashed a barrage of devastating attacks, but Vaelthar absorbed the energy and redirected it in a concentrated pulse, tearing through the flagship's defenses. The Carnethian fleet retreated, their flagship crippled. The Kaelirian fleet erupted in cheers as the battle ended in victory. As the adrenaline faded, Marcus felt the strain of the battle. Vaelthar, sensing his exhaustion, adjusted its energy output to support him. "You all right in there?" Lyrax's voice crackled over the comms. "Yeah," Marcus replied weakly. "But next time, let's try diplomacy first." Vaelthar's voice echoed in his mind, tinged with a newfound warmth. "You fought not for power, but for the lives of others. You are worthy, Marcus Hayes." The Kaelirian fleet returned to Vaelthar Prime victorious, their ships trailing triumphantly through the system. Marcus, still clad in Vaelthar, stepped off the Kaelirian flagship and was greeted by cheering crowds of Kaelirian citizens. Dr. Talix and Lyrax stood at the forefront of the welcoming committee, their expressions a mixture of awe and relief. "You actually did it," Talix said, his voice uncharacteristically soft. "You controlled Vaelthar and defeated the Carnethians. I didn't think it was possible." Marcus shrugged, the glow of the armor dimming as it adjusted to a resting state. "Didn't do it alone. Vaelthar and we're a team now." The Kaelirian High Council summoned Marcus for a formal recognition ceremony. The council chamber, now adorned with banners and lights, was filled with delegates from across the galaxy. Councillor Reinar stepped forward, her silver scales glinting under the crystalline lights. "Dr. Marcus Hayes, on behalf of the Kaelirian people, we extend our deepest gratitude. Without you and Vaelthar, our civilization would have been lost." Marcus, unaccustomed to such formalities, scratched the back of his neck. "You're welcome, but let's not forget, you guys found the armor. I just helped it wake up." The chamber erupted in applause, and for the first time, Marcus felt humanity's place in the galaxy solidify. In the weeks that followed, Marcus and Vaelthar became the center of a galaxy-wide fascination. Delegates from other species flocked to Vaelthar Prime to witness the bond between human and armor. Vaelthar began to reveal more of its history through visions shared with Marcus. The armor's creators, an ancient race called the Erindari, had built it as a protector of their empire. However, as their greed and ambition grew, they sought to use Vaelthar as a weapon of conquest. The armor, sensing their betrayal, turned against them and vanished, burying itself on Vaelthar Prime. "Looks like you've been burned before," Marcus said during one of their private conversations. "Can't say I blame you for being cautious." Vaelthar's voice echoed in his mind. "The Erindari are gone, but their mistakes live on in others. You have shown me that not all wielders seek destruction. Perhaps there is hope for this galaxy yet." The Kaelirians extended an unprecedented honor to humanity, a permanent seat on the Galactic Council, recognizing their unique ability to solve problems through creativity and empathy. Marcus, now serving as a galactic ambassador, worked alongside Vaelthar to bridge gaps between species and ensure the armor was used only for protection. Back on Earth, news of Marcus's achievements spread rapidly. He became a symbol of humanity's potential in the galaxy, a reminder that even the most advanced civilizations could learn from the unpredictable ingenuity of humans. One evening, as Marcus stood on a balcony overlooking the shimmering cityscape of Vaelthar Prime, Lyrax approached him. "You've changed the way the galaxy sees humanity," Lyrax said, his golden scales glowing softly in the moonlight. Marcus smiled, his hand resting on Vaelthar's smooth surface. "Nah, humanity's always been like this, chaotic, stubborn, and just crazy enough to make things work. The galaxy's just finally paying attention." Vaelthar pulsed faintly, its voice echoing in Marcus's mind. "Together, we will protect this galaxy and ensure its future." As Marcus gazed at the stars, he couldn't help but wonder what other mysteries the galaxy held, and whether humanity's role was just beginning. Months later, Marcus and Vaelthar stood in the Galactic Council chamber as plans for a new initiative were unveiled. Inspired by Vaelthar's history, the galaxy began searching for other ancient artifacts, hoping to learn from the past and prevent future conflicts. For Marcus, It was the start of a new journey. With Vaelthar by his side, he was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. And as the galaxy watched, humanity continued to prove that sometimes the smallest voices could have the greatest impact.